I don't know about you guys, but I don't like the way this looks. But this is what we get. This is the driving style that happens in Florida. Now, does everybody do it? No, but enough people that it causes a lot of concern for those that are driving around the area. What we're going to do today is we're going to be visiting Facebook posts. I put the question out the other day. If you've moved to Cape Coral in the last 2 years, what's one thing that you learned that was either a total turnoff or a pleasant surprise about moving to the area? And I got a bunch of different comments. We're going to go through exactly what people think and show you some of the things that you might want to be thinking about as you move to the area. Now, remember, Facebook is not the go-to to get answers. A lot of times people are just there to make fun of people. Other times they are very opinionated in what their thoughts are. So take everything with a grain of salt. Like the first two comments, you see Dennis, he thinks that there's too many people moving from Miami and that there's a lot of rude snowbirds. Again, I I'm not going to give my opinion on a lot of this stuff because we need the snowbirds, regardless of what anybody thinks. And as far as people moving from Miami, guess what I did back in 2004? Yeah, actually 2002. I moved from Miami. Now, I wasn't from Miami. I'm from Pennsylvania originally, but the point is that yeah, all of us, or at least a great number of us, are from another area. So how much grief can we give to one another about why we're here? Everybody's here for the same reason. You love the weather, you love the ambiance down here, and you love the lifestyle. So let's jump into some of the things that you might be concerned about or thinking about when you move to the area. You look down below, Jeff says that there's a number of good restaurants in the area, regardless of what you hear on Facebook. There are a number, but you'll hear later that pizza is one of the ones that's really tough to find good ones around here. Sticking with that thread about drivers, you can see drivers are arguably the worst in the US, according to Ken. Every single day there's nasty accidents. Yes, I agree. And as far as dumbasses running the red lights, that happens. I've seen it numerous times. Very hard to get everything on camera. But guess what? I got a dash cam now, so look out, guys. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be recording some of y'all so I can share what goes on. Anyway, weaving in and out of traffic. I get this to an extent. We still have a lot of the 35-mile-an-hour left lane lingerers in a 55, so that causes some of the weaving. Some people are out sightseeing or maybe first time in the area, so they're looking here, there, and everywhere. That causes these same delays. The weaving in and out, I get it. Some people are super aggressive about it. Some people are a little more laid back. I will say I understand from both sides of the spectrum, but it's something you will deal with here. It's just part of what it is. And then you see a little further down here where Brenna and Robin bring up the loud racing cars. Well, they're not necessarily all racing, but what a lot of them do is they put the big exhaust on that makes a lot of noise. So if you're not a fan of those kinds of noises, it's going to happen here and there. But you know what? I haven't been to a single city that they don't do that. Atlanta, they do that. Tampa Bay, they do that. Over on the Miami side, they definitely do that. Orlando, you pick a city. They're doing it. So these things are going to happen. We're not different in that respect, but this is just to let you know you got plenty of others that will jump on that bandwagon with you. Now, this is something we don't see every day, but the news caught this person. Actually, this was a resident of the area. This is Chiquita Boulevard. This is one of our main roads running north and south through the city, all the way to the west side. You can see there's two lanes on each side, a median in the middle, and I guess there's a new lane going the opposite direction where the sidewalk used to be. Yeah, somebody's actually driving the wrong direction in the middle of the day on the sidewalk. Another frustration that will come up is this situation. I'm going to let this video play out. This happened to Eric the other day. Eric is a counterpart. You're going to meet him very soon if you haven't talked to him or seen him yet. He's my cousin. He comes from New York, Rochester area, and he is sharing in this real estate venture with me. So we are going to be working together. And this is what happened to him the other day. He's a big pickleball player. This is over at the Lake Kennedy Pickleball Center. And I'll let this play out for you. See all this space? We like to park our nice cars not next to anyone. You see, Eric picked this perfect spot. And what did somebody decide to do? Park right next to him. Gotta love it. So the negative side was there to show you basically the parking situation, but this is what the pickleball center looks like. So if you're into pickleball, the Lake Kennedy Racket Club, that whole section of tennis and pickleball is getting massive. There's hundreds, if not thousands of people that partake there. They're doing tournaments. So that's something for those of you that are interested in that particular sport. Now, with the construction in our area, we have the vehicles, so they contribute to the traffic. You see cranes, you see mid-sized trucks, you see the long 18-wheeler dump trucks, the small dump trucks, regular 18-wheelers, and plenty of trucks pulling trailers. It's happening everywhere. So if you thought the traffic was specifically your really bad driving neighbor or friend or whatever, it's not. It's all these businesses and corporations that are trucking around town too. Now, if you thought that the construction vehicles was just limited to the roads, it's not. If you live in a community that's still building homes, this is going to be a common sight for you. And in this particular situation, they were kind enough to park on one side of the road. In many cases, you get it on both sides. This particular section, I know for a fact, gets both sides, but today they were very nice and getting off to one side, quite a bit off to one side. But this is what you'll get in that kind of community, so be aware. Now we're moving on to the next complaint, how crowded it's becoming. Way too many condos and apartment buildings, traffic scary. Okay, Carol, we already dealt with the traffic part, so we're going to push that aside. But the building, I have to agree. I mean, the building is kind of insane. And you see right below Tommy talking about how we're turning these neighborhoods into what's going to be a Miami and New York City, called Tampa, Jacksonville, whatever. He's basically alluding to the fact that we're turning into a big city. Now, we are kind of a mid-sized city right now, landmass wise. Cape Coral alone, not even including Fort Myers with it, is the third largest landmass city in the state. So we've got a lot of space. It's what are we doing with the space? We're putting up all kinds of apartment complexes, as you see Tommy continues to talk about. And there's people here that, and these are probably the folks that were complaining about snowbirds, is Josie and Laurel. They've been here since the beginning. I mean, Laurel says there's tumbleweeds rolling down the road. So there's some long-standing residents here that don't like all the change, and that's where many of the complaints will come from. But you see down below, Roxanne talks about how she was lucky enough to retire here early, and she loves pretty much everything about the area. I mean, that's the contrast that we get. So you either love it, you hate it, you're staying, you're going home. That's what we get. It's a mixed bag for sure. This. This is going to be the problem. Yes, coyotes are a major problem for us right now, and you can see why. They're being forced out of their homes and looking for food sources in our neighborhoods. Well, unfortunately, this is actually becoming uh, an occurrence on a regular basis. It's not a last week, last month, last year. It's yesterday, this afternoon, this morning. These coyotes, they are roaming the neighborhoods, but they don't have any place to go anymore. We keep taking their homes. I know you guys are used to seeing this. You see Cape Coral neighbor was concerned for her pets and kids, and I get it. But this is something you have to pay attention to. This is something that your real estate agent should help you out with. And again, just a reminder, I'm a real estate agent here in Southwest Florida. Eric, again, is working with me, and we do everything we can to advise you on properties as though they were our own. I have friends that visit with pets. I have a child myself. He's a little older, but I'm not going to put him in harm's way like this. So if you have the opportunity and you need the guidance, talk to a professional about this. But there's a reason why there's something wrong with this picture. And you're welcome to guess down below what the problem is, but I'm going to tell you anyway. There's no seawall. And in this case, it's a freshwater canal. You don't need a seawall. You can do what's called riprap, which is a bunch of rocks right down at the water there. And it kind of is supposed to protect the land. In this case, there's only two things you can really do. Number one, get a seawall. Number two, get a fence. Not just any fence. Chain link isn't going to work. Vinyl's not going to work. They'll get over the chain link. They'll get through the vinyl. Now, the wrought iron, it's going to be the strongest, and it's going to be up and down bars. So almost like a prison cell, right? They don't climb those well, but if it's big enough, they can put their snout in it and work their way through it. So again, there's limited ways to take care of this, but gators are not a problem. They're not trying to come to your house. They're not trying to come get dinner from you, but they exist. So be sure that you're doing your homework to find out, do you want this kind of situation? Do you want no seawall? Do you want to give them access into your property? If you don't, keep this in mind. If your pets didn't have enough to worry about with the gators, look at this. I took the dog for a walk the other morning, stepped on an ant pile just to show you guys, and this is what came pouring out. Yes, red ants, you will be blistered getting bit by them, and I'm pretty sure your furry friend would too. Now, this next comment is basically alluding to the fact that they overestimated the amount of bugs they deal with. They came from an area that had them, and they're okay with that, but they're just not sure about the volume of lizard poo. Okay, that's a first. Number one, as you'll see as you read down the comments, a lot of folks are contributing. Yeah, the good side of all these pests and bugs and stuff that we normally wouldn't want to deal with, like the wasps eating the black widows. That's true. Those are mud daubers. They will do that. The jays eating the larvae and the birds and lizards eating the bugs. All of it's true. Do you know what's crapping all over the place? I'll show you. These are the guys making the mess, not the lizards. And how do I know? Because I had a bunch of them on my lanai. They'd hide up inside the screen enclosure. I had a slider back there. And I just got to the point I couldn't find a way to get rid of them. So did a little research and found out they hate peppermint spray. You spray these little suckers right on them, not just the area they hang out. Spray it on them. They'll jump out of there faster than ever, jump in the grass and try to wiggle it off. You know, I did this for the first time about a month ago. I haven't seen a frog since. So I will go ahead and share that spray with you so you can get rid of those frogs too. This next pest, this is not about leaving messes and stuff like that. This is about your pet safety. A cane toad, the one right down here on the bottom, they are everywhere in certain locations. I have a friend that has a unit that's down in the Estero, South Fort Myers area, and these toads were all over the place. Now, you can do what you want as far as eliminating them to protect your pets. We chose some methods that were as humane as possible to remove them. And since we have yet to see any, so the dog is currently safe. If your pet bites into or licks one of these, they will need to be at the vet ASAP. Now, this comment is going to be a little tough for some people. I have some best friends that they take their dog everywhere. And as you can see, Timothy, he doesn't want dogs in any restaurant. And he was very descriptive in why he doesn't want them there. But then you see Marissa down below. She loves that animals are allowed into the restaurant. So again, there's ample opportunities to dine in the area. If you want it, great. If you don't, great. There's places you can go. And once again, to come here and tell others how you feel about it, they get to know what you want or how you feel about it, but it's not going to fix anything. Just in case many of you aren't aware, it has been very cold here in Florida. That's why I'm wearing this Mr. Rogers kind of zip up sweater. I'm inside the house even. This is not where I'm at right now. I'm in the house and it is not overly warm. And we've got, this is what our weather forecast does just to make fun of the temperatures. Iguanas are invasive species and they are here and they're going to be, you know, in your neighborhoods, nothing you can really do about it. But you see, when the temperature is warm enough, they're going to be moving around as normal. Once the temperature gets cold enough, they go into a kind of catatonic phase where they fall out of the trees. And here you see the frozen iguanas. If it's in the 40s, they're definitely going to be that. They just slow down and they don't freeze per se, but they're immobile until it warms up again. Then they'll get up and run away. The local news continues to spoof this, saying just spotted off a Pine Island Road. That's one of our main roads here. So yes, polar bears, unlikely, but it does feel that cold some days. So that brings us to Lisa, wondering where our heat is set on right now. Okay, you'll see my response. These AC units, they are not meant to run the heat through them. Extremely expensive. As you can see, I did this back when my 15-year-old son was maybe a year or two old. Did it just to warm the house up in the morning. It was that cold. And we found our bill almost doubled that month just from about a week's worth of heating. So get a space heater. I do it for my bathroom, especially in that room, because when I get out of the shower, I don't want to freeze. So use a space heater. You can see many people don't use the heat at all. And here's a second page worth of other people saying, I don't use it. There's no reason to. It's off. Some people say 74, 78, whatever it is. Again, when you're older, I can understand. And if you have the money to spend on that kind of stuff, go ahead. But just saying, most people, they go put on a sweater or sweatpants, put on some slippers, and just Tough it out. Yeah, I know. Tough, right? 40s, 50s. It's still cold to us. Okay, this is a big one. You have to beware of contractors, roofers, plumbers, electricians, any kind of service work. Many times they don't show up on time. They don't do what they said they were going to do. Get a contract, get end time frames, get the scope of the job, get everything in writing, and don't give all the money up front. 50% is the most you should ever pay for any service up front. The other half should be paid after the job's done so you can be assured it's done. That's the other thing. You will be promised that things will be done after the final payment's made, and it may eventually get done because it's in the contract. But how fast do you want it done? I would say get everything in writing, written down with definitive timeframes, and if it's not complete, the final payment doesn't get made. That's my piece of advice to you. I will tell you this can happen. Robert put this up to show his neighbors. He's not sure why this happened, if it's because of the storm, but it's been plenty of time that's passed since the storm, and you can see people walking by. I've even seen rats in this mess. Again, I haven't seen this enough to speak to it, but it's clearly happening somewhere. Problem is, we have code enforcement, and they will drive around in their trucks. But how much enforcement's being done, I don't know. How much can be done? They can potentially fine them, but those fines don't get collected unless you're planning on selling the house. And if they're renters, even worse. How are you ever going to collect that? So, just something to look out for. This is why I ask people drive the neighborhoods, get used to what it looks like, what it feels like at different times of the day, because you may end up moving in next to something like this if you don't pay attention. Now, Kelsey here was asking about where's there things to do. There's nothing really here. Uh, Culture of white trash. I'm not even going to speak to the next point of hers because much of this doesn't have anything to do with us. Terrible infrastructure. I agree. We need better road management and things going on in those regards. The beaches. Hey, man, they just got all torn up from the storms. What do you expect? And overpriced everything. Our entire country's overpriced everything. So I did look into some other cities just the other week, just for fun. New York, Chicago, Seattle, Colorado, the whole freaking state, California, all of those places are more expensive. So tell me again about how expensive it is here. More of my clients tell me, "Oh my gosh, this is like a dream here compared to where I'm from. Jersey, forget about it." Anyway, that's what we're dealing with prices. As far as prices go, it's not that much different. Some things are more expensive, some things are cheaper. In fact, I have a comment in here I'm going to find specifically speaking to that point for some folks from Missouri. Anyway, speaking on this particular situation, 5.5 years she's been here, and there's absolutely nothing that she likes. So I was kind enough to go down below at the bottom and remind her of all the stuff Cape Coral has to offer between the boat ramps and the canals, the BMX park, the Sunsplash, Eagle Skate Park, pickleball complex, miniature golf, bowling alleys, billiard hall, live music everywhere, sea air park where they fly remote planes and stuff like that. There's a boardwalk, a nature walk through 4 Mile Cove Park. It is gorgeous. You get to see wildlife in there. It's awesome. Wagon Tails Dog Park down in Rotary Park, the Coralwood Movie Theater. Tons of restaurants and bars are being added, and they're being added more and more as we go into this year. So, last thing you have to remember is the storage facilities and car washes, because that's the bonus. We're going to talk about that in a minute, too. And here is that comment that I was telling you about that Debbie was kind enough to put in. She's been here 8 years. Her real estate tax are cheaper. Her auto insurance is cheaper. Her utilities are cheaper. Cost of going up is going in every state and city. They came from Missouri, and it was the best decision ever. So tell me again how overly expensive it is. This is Missouri coming here. Okay. Now, Aaron was kind enough to kick in. Hey, the Cape is great. People are great. Surrounding cities and communities are great. Hurricane kicked our butts a few years in a row. Yeah, we got that. But you know what? The people here, it's exactly as Aaron says. They deal with it, they help each other, they rebuild. That's exactly what it is. Jeff and Nadia, two of my most amazing clients, they had a storm come in, and it was Ian, in fact, that gave them a hassle right after they moved here from California. What did they do? Did they just pick up and run away? No. They fixed the house. Then they came to me and said, "Hey, Craig, can we buy an investment home?" And we did that too. They ain't running nowhere. This is where they want to be. So if you know that this is kind of the lifestyle and the climate and the kind of people you want to be around, this is what it mostly is. It's kind people like Aaron, Jeff, and Nadia, and the many other dozens, hundreds of clients that we've helped along the way. The kindness seems to be radiating more than the negativity. This one, when Tarek said this, I kind of had to laugh. He's got to be just messing with me, but how much damn sunshine there is. He wants a cloudy gray day. I will tell you, the cloudy gray day, the only time I find it acceptable is maybe on a football weekend with the playoffs because it reminds me of Pennsylvania. All right, and you'll see here from Mark, no waterside restaurants, no beachy vibe at all. Okay, so our beachy vibe was the boathouse, and it kind of got burned down. So we're in the process of getting it back. The yacht club is right across the street from it, and it's being built up like a Margaritaville. So, Mark, just hang in there, bud. It's coming. The closest you can get right now is going out to Matt Lachey and going to Michelli's. It sits right on a canal, so that's waterfront. And down at Rum Runners, it's right where the boat lock is. Plenty of water. If you want to see boats come and go and look at the water, it's right there in front of you. If you want some more water, Mark, we can go down to Tarpon Point. And you can be at the Naughty Mermaid. You can marker 52, I think as it's called. Pinchers is down there. Crave is down there. There's a social tide, something or rather. But there's another social club down there. They just opened up a restaurant. So multiple places to go just on the south end of the city. And if you go up the east side where many of the canals are, there's a place, First Round Draft, that sits on a canal. There's a Mexican place down off of, I believe, 46th. I don't remember the name of it, but it also sits on a canal. So there are waterfront opportunities, and there's going to be more coming. But keep in mind that food truck park is going to be coming in at the base of Cape Coral Bridge and JC Park. Mr. Coleman, I'm sorry. I know you're really a big proponent of keeping JC the way it was, but that new park over there is going to be a massive walkway that sits right on the river, and there's going to be food trucks there as well. So if you're looking for food and water views, there's going to be more opportunities coming. So that's as much as I can say about this. Sorry, Mark. Storage units and car washes. Yeah, you heard me mention at the front end when I was joking about the different things that are here in the area. Everything was serious up until the end when I said this. Storage units and car washes. It's almost as bad as apartment complexes. They are everywhere. While there's not necessarily a moratorium on building them as a whole, there is a change in what you can do and where you can put them. No more street front car washes and storage facilities because we have so many of them. And will there be more coming? I don't know. We don't know how many were in permitting before they shut that down, but it is getting to be a little bit of a problem. So here's Tommy's Express Car Wash. This just came in very close to where I live. And I happen to be this day just observing this car wash because it's part of what we're talking about this week. And I'm at a gas station, right? Filling up. And I said, oh, yeah. What about all the car washes we don't pay attention to? So here's a 7-Eleven right across the street, has its whole car wash. So is this a little bit of overkill or is it just me? Now, I get this can happen in many different locations, but because Florida is year round, no snow, very tropical, lots of plants and vegetation, you look here where it says every day there's lawn service contractors, construction, sun up, sun down. This is all true. We have literally, in that neighborhood I showed you earlier, with the construction happening within, there are people working in those homes in the dark hours. So 9 o'clock at night, they have lights on inside. They're still working in there. So it truly doesn't ever seem to end. And first thing, 7 a.m. is when they're supposed to be able to start. Some people complain about hearing it as early as 6 and 6:30. That's probably a little bit early, but it can happen as early as 7 o'clock. I know that's when all the garbage trucks and the recycling go out. But yeah, you hear this all day long. And not everybody, especially in an area like Cape Coral where you're not in an HOA, the mowing and trimming and all the other stuff that happens can happen any time of the day. And since everybody's not using the same company, they come every time of the day. All right, so you see here, I'm going to pronounce it Narita. If I'm right, great. Sorry if I didn't. Anyway, they've been here 2 months from the time they put this up. and semi-retired. The four-way stops are clearly getting to them. And I know why. I get it. The four-way stops, most people don't know how to use them. They don't know when it's their turn to go. I normally have to wave people through or flash my lights or something. Do they pay attention? No. They're probably on their phone. Anyway, you have to be somewhat aggressive. Maybe bump your, pop your the front of your car out to let them know you're going if they're not doing anything. And we can't even get started about roundabouts because they're even worse. People don't know how to get on and off of a roundabout if it has more than one lane. One lane seems to keep it simple, meaning you can only go this direction. When you put two, it's like, well, when do I jump off? Where am I supposed to be? Inside or outside? It's a lot. I'm just telling you, this is what I'm seeing. Cape Coral right now only has one roundabout. Up in Charlotte County, they have numerous roundabouts just on Edgewater alone. So if you want to try your skills at a roundabout and see how other people work on them, go up and drive Edgewood Boulevard in Port Charlotte. That'll be a treat for you. For all the fishermen out there, Jeff says, been here for 7 years, and the endless battle against the big head ant is amazing. I don't know what the big head ant is, but the fishing that he knew was good turned out to be some of the best he's ever had. That's why people come here. It's the water, it's the canals, it's the fishing. The beaches are going to be part of it once we get everything rectified. But the climate this time of year, I mean, it's shivering cold, but it's also sunny. So it's a beautiful day in most cases. So if you don't want to shovel snow and deal with freezing temperatures and scraping ice off your windows and putting the chains on your tires, you can always move to Florida. It's absolutely gorgeous. You won't need any of that stuff, I promise. And I thought we should give you a little lovely news. Should have moved here 40 years ago when she first fell in love, or when Meryl first fell in love back those 40 years ago. Jody agrees it was very nice back in those 40 years ago, but she couldn't believe what it turned into. And you know what? I guess Meryl feels kind of the same way as far as seeing the growth, but he still loves Cape Coral. And that's the thing. You have to find the best condition. If you see there, he has his boat on a lift in the best neighborhood possible. That means he has good neighbors, right? So when you go through these neighborhoods, and I ask everybody to drive a neighborhood for a reason, feel it, see who's out there, see how they take care of stuff. These are all important factors. If you want to be like Meryl and be happy with your choice, tell exactly what you want to your advisor, everything that you need and expect, and you want to get the most of it. If you can get the most of it with nice neighbors in a nice neighborhood, you might have just hit the jackpot. Here's another one. Chelsea loves all the events and the things that go on. We have a bike night here that just kicked back up because we're back in season. We have the Ben Allen Band, which is very big down here. I think he was even on one of the Idol shows. And they're doing a function up in Babcock Ranch this weekend. But this time of year, you can go to many, many, many locations for live music. And you can see Aline was here. She's here 14 years and still loves the Cape. I mean, I've been out here since 2006. I still love it too. Yes, it's a little more difficult with all the traffic and congestion, but we just learn to live with that and understand the times to go out and not. So if you're a snowbird visiting, you could do everybody a huge favor. Don't go out until say 9:30 in the morning and let everybody get off to work first. And same thing with the evenings. That kind of 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock time frame is the busiest. So if you can find a way to be somewhere else, maybe early bird dinner or something like that, or maybe go to a happy hour, hey, maybe even enjoy the backyard with the dock and the lift and the boat and all that stuff back there. But on the road is probably not the best, and you'd save yourself a lot of grief if you just weren't on the road at those times. And you'd be a lot of appreciation from the locals. But as you can see, also, Scott, he moved here in July of 2012 from the Midwest, and one regret, not making the move sooner. They love living in their little slice of paradise. So that is what you can expect if you're moving to this area. Okay, so if that doesn't give you the total story on opinions on Facebook, it's like I said, some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it. Everybody's going to give their opinions. They may or may not match what you're looking for. That's why I say come in to town, try it out, see what it's like. Do an Airbnb, VRBO, where in the type of home, in the type of neighborhood that you want to be in. And from there, we'll be able to hone in on exactly what you want. I've got multiple ways to reach out to me. If you haven't gotten enough out of this video, check out one of these other videos. And if that's not satisfying your thirst for knowledge, do what everyone else is doing. Call, text, email. You can do a Zoom call with me. Even use our app to get your search started. We promise not to resell your information like some of those other big names out there. Anyway, all this is for you because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.